Almost a month after Kyle Busch passed away, the NASCAR world thought it had heard every story, every tribute, and every kind word about Rowdy. Then Tony Stewart sat down for an interview at Bristol Dragway, and what came out of his mouth might be the most honest thing said in racing all year. Before we get into what Stewart said, let's back up. Kyle Busch died on the 21st of May 2026. He was only 41 years old. The cause was severe pneumonia that turned into sepsis after he was hospitalized. What made it even harder to believe was that just 4 days earlier, he had raced in the NASCAR All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. One weekend, he was strapped into the number 8 Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. A few days later, he was gone. His resume speaks for itself. 2 Cup Series championships in 2015 and 2019. 63 Cup wins, which puts him 9th on the all-time list. Across NASCAR's top 3 national series, Busch won 234 races, more than any driver in the history of the sport. He holds the all-time wins records in both the Xfinity Series and the Craftsman Truck Series. He drove for Hendrick Motorsports, then Joe Gibbs Racing, and finally Richard Childress Racing. Few drivers have ever done more in a stock car. Now back to Tony Stewart. Smoke was at the Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals at Bristol Dragway when he sat down for a tribute interview. This weekend marked the first NHRA race at a NASCAR facility since Busch's death. Stewart came in to talk about his old friend, and he didn't sugarcoat a single word. Stewart wasn't angry at NASCAR. He wasn't angry at Kyle. He was angry at the people who only saw Busch as the loud, fiery character on television and never bothered to learn who he really was. And he was even angrier that those same people were suddenly singing his praises now that he was gone. Here is how Stewart put it. He said, "I guess that's probably the biggest thing in this tragedy that's happened that's pissed me off the most, is that now everybody wants to talk about how he was as a person. Outside of that, all they wanted to do was just judge what they saw on TV." He didn't stop there. Stewart kept going, telling the reporter, "It's frustrating. I mean, every one of us are judged by what they see on TV, and then once you die, then they want to talk about how good a person you were. That's the part that pisses me off the most about it right now." That's a heavy thing to hear from a 3-time Cup champion, but Stewart wasn't finished. He pointed straight at the fans, the media, and anyone else who jumped on the kind words train after Kyle was gone. He said, "They should have given him a chance to learn him as a person before they judged him in the first place. So right now, I don't care about educating everybody about how Kyle Busch was. I know who Kyle Busch was." Then came the line that lit up social media. Stewart added, "The fact that they all want to learn now, they're the a-holes for not taking the time to learn him and accept him for who he was back then. You want to wait till the guy dies, and now all of a sudden you care about who he was as a person. That's the part that pisses me off with everybody." To understand why Stewart took it that personally, you have to know their history. The two were teammates at Joe Gibbs Racing back in 2008. Stewart, Busch, and Denny Hamlin combined for 19 wins together that season. Stewart admitted in his earlier tribute that he and Kyle didn't always see eye to eye early on. But once they worked under the same roof, things changed. They pushed each other. They respected each other. They became something close to family. That same respect showed up in the heartfelt note Stewart posted the day Kyle died. He called Busch a fierce competitor who was strong-willed, confident not only in his ability behind the wheel, but in his opinions. Stewart also wrote, "He pushed me to be better, and we always had respect for one another." It was easy to see that Kyle was going to be a future champion. Maybe the most powerful line from that tribute was this one. Stewart wrote, "Whether it was to see him win or to see someone beat him, you watched." Even the haters will miss Kyle. He sent his love to Kyle's wife Samantha, his son Brexton, his daughter Lennox, and Kyle's brother Kurt. So when Stewart unloaded at Bristol, it wasn't a stranger talking. It was a teammate who saw the man behind the helmet for almost 2 decades. Of course, not everyone agrees with him. Some writers pushed back hard. One radio outlet called the comments tone-deaf and asked a fair question. How are fans supposed to judge a driver if all they see is what's on television? Most fans never get to sit in the hauler with Kyle. They never get to share a meal with the Busch family. The only way to know a driver, the only way most fans ever will, is through what TV shows them. That's just how the deal works. Critics also pointed out something important. Kyle Busch had already won the fans over before he died. Yes, he was hated early in his career. After the famous 2008 Richmond race where he spun Dale Earnhardt Jr. with 3 laps to go, his team had to get him out of the track by helicopter for his safety. According to his former spotter Jeff Dickerson, Busch received death threats throughout the entire season that followed. Fans even threw things at his golf cart that night. For years, you would hear boos every time his name was announced. But when he moved over to Richard Childress Racing in 2023, things flipped. Fans started cheering for him. By the time of his final Daytona 500 this past February, the crowd was loud and proud when he was introduced. He even started that race from the pole. Some say maybe fans grew to respect him because he stopped winning so often. His last Cup win came back in 2023 at Gateway. Others think folks finally realized he was one of the last true old-school drivers left in the garage. Whatever the reason, by the time he passed, Kyle Busch wasn't just a polarizing figure anymore. He was loved. So the pushback to Stewart is simple. Fans did know him, fans did love him, and telling them they failed Kyle doesn't sit right. But here is the thing. Even if you disagree with Tony Stewart, you can't ignore the bigger truth he's pointing at. Athletes get judged in the smallest possible window. A few seconds of camera time. One bad reaction after a wreck. One short interview when emotions are running high. That becomes the whole story for the public. And then the day the athlete is gone, suddenly everyone wants to talk about how kind, generous, and funny they really were. Stewart's rant peels that back. He's not just defending Kyle, he's calling out a pattern that hits every driver, every player, and every athlete in every sport. You can hear it in the way he said, "So right now, I don't care about educating everybody about how Kyle Busch was. I know who Kyle Busch was. That's not a man trying to teach a lesson. That's a man done trying. He's lost his friend, and he's tired of watching strangers act like they suddenly understand the guy." Whether fans agree with Smoke or not, his words have changed the conversation around Kyle Busch's legacy. Some are calling it the realest thing said since the funeral. Others are calling it unfair and over the top, but everyone is talking about it. And knowing Tony Stewart, this probably won't be the last time he says something raw about how NASCAR remembers one of its own. So when Smoke says fans should have taken the time to know Kyle, he isn't just speaking for his late friend. He's speaking from a place he has stood in himself. That's part of why his words hit so hard. He isn't lecturing from a safe distance. He's pulling back the curtain on something he has lived through and reminding everyone that drivers are still human beings long after the TV cameras shut off.